All right, so really quick, we got Miss Melanie in the house. Everyone say, hi, Miss Melanie. Miss Melanie had asked me and Blake to come and speak with you guys. And so she's also right now about to distribute some points. She's thinking in her head right now how many points she's going to give to the team for the next 15 minutes who can sit up straight, who can listen really closely to what we got to share with you guys. They're not talking to their neighbors. They're not laying down and taking a nap, because who's tired right now after lunch? Yeah, it's all right. That's why we just ran around a little bit. Okay, so that's what she's looking for right now. She's thinking of a number right now. But before we get started, I want to talk with you guys for a few minutes. Can we turn the music down just really fast? Because I need you guys to listen very carefully. Can you guys see the screen right here? What are those things? Two parrots. Have you guys ever heard the story of the two parrots? No? Do you guys want to hear the story of the two parrots? Okay, so I want you guys to listen very, very carefully. How many of you guys have ever seen the movie Rio? Okay. Technically parrots, but, not really. So I'm going to tell you a quick story that's not Rio, but just so you guys kind of know where I'm going with this, okay? So there was a mama bird and a daddy bird, and they were both parrots, right? Well, the mama bird had eggs, okay, up in a nest somewhere, did their thing, got that, and the babies actually hatched, and it came with two baby parrots. Everyone say, aww. I don't know their names, but that's them. Everyone say, aww. Okay, so these two baby parrots came to me. Does anybody know that baby birds can't take care of themselves? Did you know that? What do the mama bird and daddy bird have to do? They have to go get food for them, come back, make sure they're fed. So this went on for quite a while until the baby birds grew up just old enough to where they could go out and fly on their own. Because that's what happens when you're a bird. After a while, you grow up and you're able to fly a little bit on your own. So the mama bird and the daddy bird looked at each other and said, hey, you know what? We've been taking really good care of our kids. I'm proud of them. They can fly a little bit. But we need to start getting them ready to leave the nest. So this is what we're going to do. For the next several weeks, we're going to leave in the morning. We're going to leave them alone all by themselves. How many of you guys like to be home by yourself? Yeah, it's kind of scary sometimes. So they're like, so we're going to leave them alone for a little bit by themselves. And while we're away, we'll make sure that we bring home dinner. How many of you guys like pizza? Okay, so this is what they're thinking right now. They're going to go to Domino's. They're going to pick up some pizza for the kids. Okay, so the next morning they leave. This happens for several weeks. Every morning, the mom and the dad parrot both leave to make sure that they can have their kids able to where they can go fly on their own a little bit, maybe hunt for some worms, and then they would make sure that they would come back at nighttime to make sure their kids were tucked in bed and they had food in their stomachs. This went on for several weeks. Well, there was a hunter in that area who started watching these parrots very closely. And he realized that every morning, the mama bird and the daddy bird would go away and they would leave, which left the babies all by themselves. So this one morning, he decided, I'm going to go catch those two parrots and I'm going to keep them for my kids. So that morning, he went out, he waited behind a bush, and the mama bird and the daddy bird, just like always, flew off. Once they were gone, he went out and he grabbed the two baby parrots. And as he was trying to put them in a cage, they were squirming and they were trying to get away. One of them escaped. One of them did not. The one that escaped was so scared and flew for a short distance to a small farmhouse not too far down the road. But the one that was caught was put in a cage. Now this hunter was a really, really mean hunter, but he still loved his kids. And so one parrot was at least better than no parrots. So he put the parrot in a cage and took it to his swamp, which is where he lived at. How many of you guys have seen Shrek before? The very first one. He lived in a swamp. Did he want people at his swamp? No, he was really mean, right? This is kind of like the hunter, right? He didn't want anyone around. I mean, his words were all the time to any traveler that walked by. Hey, get out of here. No trespassing. No one wants you here anyway. Get out of here. You're no good. That's all he heard. Well, he brought the little parrot home to his kids, and his kids were really excited. How many of you guys had a parent bring home a puppy for you one day, or a rabbit for you, or a bird, some type of pet, and you were just so excited? Well, his kids were really excited. And so they listened to their dad's instruction, and the dad said, hey, don't let the bird out. Take really good care of this bird, okay? It's a parrot. You can get it to talk after a little while. Just keep talking to it. How many of you guys have a pet parrot? Because I never did. I thought it would be really cool, but I never had one. Does your parrot actually say words? He says sometimes. What is one word that your parrot learned to say?
He always says that he likes crackers.
He always says that he likes crackers. I like crackers. That's cool. I wish I had a parrot, because then I could teach the parrot to say really, really cool things like, with great power comes great responsibility. That would be really cool, right? But parrots don't talk like that. So this parrot was in this cage, and the kids were super excited, and they took care of it, and they were just trying to get the parrot to say certain words. Let's fast forward a little bit. You guys want to know what happened to the parrot that did get away? Okay, so the parrot that got away flew down the road a little ways to a farmhouse, and he was tired, he was hungry, he was scared, he didn't know how to get back home. Well, the people who lived at the farmhouse was this old man and this old lady, just farm people. But they were really, really nice, and they saw this bird, and they saw that the bird needed help, and so they took care of the bird. They never put him in a cage. They just fed him and gave him water and just basically made him part of the family. Well, as time went on, they would sit on their front porch at the middle of the day sometimes, and they would see these people walking by. And they might be hungry, they might be tired, and every single day, these old people would look at the people walking by and said, hey, if you're thirsty, we got some water. Would you like some cold water? You're always welcome here. Hey, we've got some fresh fruit, we got some fresh vegetables, eat whatever you like. They were so kind, and people always knew that the farmhouse down the road, they always gave you something if you were in need. Well, this one day, there was this one traveler who was walking for a long time, and he was so tired, and he came to the swamp, and he decided he was going to sit on a log and just take a breather for a minute. He was so tired, he was so hungry, he was so thirsty, but he needed to rest. So he sat down on this log, and that's when he heard the voice. Hey, you, get out of here. No one wants you here anyway. No one likes you. You're trespassing. Get out of here. Well, it scared him. How many would that scare you if you're sitting all by yourself in a swamp and the next thing you hear is some voice yelling at you? Well, it scared him, so he started running, and he kept hearing it over and over and over again. Hey, you, no one likes you. Get out of here. You're trespassing. Well, as he's running, he looks behind, and he sees that there was this little house, and in front of the house was this bird cage, and inside the bird cage was this parrot who was squawking and flapping his wings and kept saying over and over, hey, you, get out of here. No one likes you. You're trespassing. What? How did the parrot know to say that? Because of the hunter who kept saying that to every traveler that passed by. Well, the traveler was so scared, he kept running, and he ran down the road, and out of breath, he came up to the farmhouse. And as he's breathing really heavy and he's really, really tired, he's walking up to the farmhouse because he was about to ask them for water when he heard another voice. This voice said, welcome, traveler. Hey, we've got some cold water. Would you like a drink? We've got fresh fruit. We got fresh vegetables. You're always welcome here. Eat whatever you like. And he started to look around, and he saw that those words weren't coming from a person. They came from the parrot. And he looked at the parrot and he said, I just saw another parrot that looked just like you down the road. And he said really mean things and really rude things to me. It actually scared me, but you are saying kind and gentle words. What is this? Well, as the parrot was listening to the traveler, he realized that was his brother that were separated several weeks ago. And he said, well, several weeks ago, my brother and I, we got captured by this hunter, and I managed to get away, but he didn't. And see, he's hanging out with that hunter, and he's learning the language of the hunter, but I learned the language of the farmhouse people. And the moral of the story is this: when you hang out with bad people, you're going to start taking on their bad habits. When you hang out with good people, you're going to start learning their good habits. There's a phrase right here that says that you cannot hang out with negative people and expect to live a positive life. Think about it. You can't expect to hang out with people who are constantly negative and expect to live a positive life. What do I mean? How many of you guys know that it's a really nice day outside? It's hot, but it's nice. Well, a negative person would be like, well, it's just too darn hot outside. We can't do anything because it's just hot. It's just, oh, the Lord just needs to bring rain. Okay, well, that's fine, but it's still a really nice day. Let's go play outside for a little bit, and then we can come back inside and cool off. Well, a negative person who wishes for rain, guess what they do when rain actually comes? They start complaining about the rain. Oh, it's finally raining just like you wanted. It's nice and cool. Well, it's kind of rainy outside, and it's wet, and dirt make mud, and mud gets everywhere, and the bugs come out, and it's just terrible. Ain't nobody like rain. Negative people will always poison you. And so really what I want to share with you guys today is making a change. That's kind of what your camp is all about, right? Make a change. But I want you guys to make a change in the lives of everyone around you. I'm going to give you guys 3 simple steps to make a change. Can you guys remember 3 steps? How many steps? 3. I'm going to give you 3 simple steps on how to make a change. How not to be the parrot who was with the hunter, but to be the parrot who was with the farmer. This is step number 1, okay? I need you guys to point to your brain and think for a second. But you need to recognize the bad company around you. Not right now, though. Don't look around because that would be kind of weird. But think about it. We all know of a cousin or a friend or maybe the kid down the street or maybe the bully at school who is just bad company. They're always saying rude things. They're always disobeying their parents, or they're always disobeying the teachers. Raise your hand if you know who I'm talking about in your head. You know someone just like that. Yeah. See, here's the first step to make sure that you don't become the parrot who is at the swamp. You want to make sure that you recognize the bad company all around you, because if you hang out with the bad people who are doing bad things all the time around you, guess what's eventually going to happen to you? You're going to be like the bad parrot. That's exactly right. So you got to recognize the bad company around you. Well, what do you mean, Chris? Well, this is what I mean. People who lie all the time. And they might not even lie because they're in trouble. They just lie because they want to be recognized. Like, yeah, my dad's an astronaut and he took me to outer space one time, but we were only up there for 10 seconds. Would you believe that person? No, because you can't go to outer space for just 10 seconds, right? Now, it would be really cool if you knew somebody whose dad was an astronaut, because sign me up, I want to go into the rocket ship, okay? Just kidding, I'm scared of heights. But you've got kids who constantly lie, and maybe you know of someone who constantly lies. Should you constantly hang out with that person? Maybe not. Well, maybe you know of someone who constantly takes something that doesn't belong to them. When I was your age, I used to take things that didn't belong to me all the time. Even if it was from my sister, even if it was from my friend, even if it was from my parents, I would take a few things just because I wanted it. Do you know someone who's like that? Yeah. Should you hang out all the time with a person who's like that? No, because if you hang out with those people all the time like that, well then you're going to be turning into someone just like that. So step number 1 is to recognize the bad company around you. Who are they? What's their names? Do you know who they are? Step number 2. Someone say step number 2. Once you recognize who the bad company is around you, this is something else I want to share with you guys, is that you've got to stand up for what's right even when others don't. That's kind of hard. If you're hanging out with the kid who's constantly taking things that doesn't belong to them, well, maybe it's time for you to stand up and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't take that because that's not yours. Have you ever stood up for something that's right even when others don't? Was it easy or was it hard? It was hard. Sometimes it can be easy, but sometimes it can be hard, especially if it's your best friend. If your best friend is cheating on a math test because they want to pass the math exam and you see them cheating, what should you do? That's got to be hard, right? Because you know that if you do stand up for what's right, your best friend could either get really mad at you and say, I don't want to be your best friend anymore, or they could say, well, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't do that. But would you be willing to stand up for what's right even when others don't? Here's another question. Would you be willing to stand up for what's right even when no one else is looking? In other words, if you were tempted to cheat on the math test, would you be willing then to stand up for what's right even though no one else knows that you're thinking about doing that? Because sometimes inside of ourselves, we have to come up with a solution to say, okay, sometimes my mind wants to do this, but I know that that's not the right thing to do. I need to do this. This is something I want to share with you guys. I am a kids pastor at the King's House. It's a church in McAllister. Like I said, you guys are invited to come out for the next several Wednesday nights. But this is a Bible verse I want to share with you guys really quick. It's in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 17, and this is what it says. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him, it's a sin. In other words, if you know what to do and what's the right thing to do, but yet you choose not to do it, well, the Bible says it's the same thing as doing it anyway, as sinning anyway, because you're choosing not to do the right thing. So step one, to make sure you don't become that parrot who hangs out with the hunter to where you take on his language and his attributes, you've got to do this. You've got to recognize the bad company around you. You've got to stand up for what's right, even when others don't, even when no one else is looking. And this is step number 3. This is the last one right here. You've got to make a change, but you also have to be the change. We've got a really cool illustration I want to share with you guys here in just a second. But here's another Bible verse I want to share with you guys. It's in 1 Corinthians, and we're going to throw it up here on the screen. And it says, do not be misled. Or in other words, don't be mistaken. Bad company corrupts good character. I might not know a whole lot about you guys, but I kind of suspect you guys are a great bunch of kids. You listen to your mom and dad, you listen to your aunt and your uncle, you listen to your grandma, your grandpa, you obey your teachers, you do what you're supposed to do. Some of our teachers are just smiling from ear to ears like, if only you knew. But here's the thing. The Bible is completely true. I believe it with all my heart from front to back, and this is one of the verses that it says in there. Don't be a fool. Don't be misled. Don't be mistaken. Bad company corrupts good character. I don't care how good of a kid you may be. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how great you are. People could think that you're a great person from the moment you're born to the moment you grow up and you die one day. But if you're hanging out with the bad people, if you're hanging out with people who constantly lie, who constantly steal, who constantly do other things, what's eventually going to happen to you? You're going to do it. I'm going to ask Mr. Blake to come out here really quick because before he shares something with you, he's going to help me do something really, really quick. Mr. Blake, grab those gloves and put those on for me really quick because you don't want to get your hands dirty with this. You guys see these right here? Yeah? Can everyone in the back see those up there? You can stand up if you need to really quick. There you go. I've got 2 dills up here that are filled with water, okay? Now let's take, for example, this one is the people that you thought of in step number 1, which was what? Recognize the bad company around you. Well, that bad company around you is filled with bad stuff. Besides lying, cheating, and stealing, someone name off another thing that's like a bad thing to do. Cheating, said that. Anybody else? What? Lying? Anybody else? Sinning? Yeah, absolutely. Killing. Hopefully none of you guys have been killing. That'd be really bad. We'd be having another talk right now. Stealing. Absolutely. One more. Did you forget? Running away, yeah. If you're hanging around with kids that are constantly doing that, that's eventually what you're going to do. So, Mr. Blake, hold that t-shirt up for me really quick. You guys have a white t-shirt at home? Cool. This represents you. Everyone say, that's me. Look how clean you are. Does it smell good?
It smells fresh.
It smells fresh. So let's see what happens to you when you hang out with the wrong people. Go ahead and just put it in there. Yeah, just put it in there. Don't worry, nothing bad will happen. I hope. Yeah, Yep, just hang on to it. No, just dip it in there. So if you are hanging out with the bad people, eventually you're going to soak up what's around them. Just mess around with them a little bit. Oh, it's okay. Freddie told a lie. That's okay. I can tell a lie. That's all right. He didn't get caught, so I'm not going to get caught. And you know what? If Jeffrey stole that cupcake, well, then I can steal that $5 my sister got for her birthday. She's not going to miss it very much. Now, hold that up for everyone really quick, Blake, and let's see exactly what happened to that white shirt. Yeah, he's going to hold it up. We got a little bucket over here, so it's not going to drip onto the floor because that would be really bad. What just happened to this t-shirt? Would you want to wear that shirt now? No, because it looks disgusting. Because bad company corrupts good character. And maybe, just maybe, if you were hanging out with your friends who constantly do some bad things that you know about, maybe it's time for you to take a step back and say, hey, I really like hanging out with you, but maybe, just maybe, if we should go to your house, maybe we shouldn't go to your house anymore and hang out. Because typically when we go to your house to hang out, we tend to watch movies we're not supposed to watch. So you can come to my house. You've got to stand up for what's right. Because if not, look what's going to happen. Eventually, you're going to take on all these bad things that they do. And the Bible says that bad company corrupts or makes bad good character. So I wouldn't care how great of a kid you are. if you're hanging out with bad people, what's going to happen to you eventually? You're going to be black. That's a perfect explanation. Blake, thank you so much. Put it right there for me really quick. Yeah, you just set it right back in there. And I know you've got something special you need to share with the kids. So as you take your gloves off and you get ready to share with them, I want to say one more thing to you guys, that if you can't stand up for what's right, like if hanging out with your friends seems to be too hard, then maybe you need to take a step back and just say, look, I really like you. I really want to be your friend, but maybe for a little while we just need to kind of part ways. Well, why? Well, because you constantly tell lies and I don't want to be a liar. Now remember, step 3 was make a change, but also what? Be the change. So Mr. Blake's going to come up here really quick, and then I'm going to show you guys something else of what can happen with this white t-shirt here in just a second when Mr. Blake shares with you guys about being the change. Mr. Blake?
All right. So being the change is an important thing, right? You need to be the change. Not just know it up here. You got to be the change, right? Because how do you know if you know it, but you're not being it? It's 2 different things, right? It's 2 different things. And so you want to make sure you're being the change. Now, in being the change, one of the things I like about the Choctaw Nation is the foundation. How many of you guys know what the foundation of the Choctaw Nation is? Faith, family, and culture, right? Faith, family, and culture. And faith is at the beginning, probably because it's one of the most important things. And so, if you think about being the change and not being around bad company because it corrupts your good character, you're going to stand out as a light. Everybody say a light. Like a flashlight or like the light above you. You're going to stand out because you're bright. Now, does everybody like the light? Everybody likes light? What about bats? Do bats like the light? Let's go back here to the bad company. People who are in bad company, sometimes they do some bad things, right? But do they do bad things always in the light? Or do they do it in the dark? Sometimes they do it in the dark, right? Well, you know what happens when you turn a light on, right? What happens? The dark goes away. That's actually a scripture. We're going to look at that scripture here in just a minute. But let me think about your bedroom. In your bedroom with your light. Okay? How many of you guys love to get up in the middle of the night and go walking through the bedroom? Anybody just love doing that? I mean, like, especially when you left Legos laying on the floor, right? How many of you ever stepped on a Lego in the middle of the night because you didn't turn the light on? How many parents have ever stepped on a Lego because they didn't pick up the Lego, right? Okay. But you know what you can do if you simply turn on the light first, or probably for your parents' sake, you would pick up your room first. But if you turn on the light, what are you able to do? You're able to see, you're able to avoid whatever it is that's in front of you, right? Whatever that obstacle might be, whether it's a Lego or some toy, or maybe it's a bad choice. If you shine the light on something, it illuminates it. It makes it seen. You're able to see it more clearly, right? So if this whole room is able to be dark, and I have a light in here, how good is that? Is that good? Are you sure? What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, how good is that to us? It's really not, right? Look at this verse in Matthew. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Here's what it says. It says, no one, I say no one, that includes you, lights a lamp or a lantern or a flashlight and put it under a basket, but rather they put it on a lampstand so that it can be seen by everyone. When you have a flashlight here in the room, do you only stay in one area, or do you go wherever you want to go? You go wherever because you have control of the light. So if you have a flashlight and you're in a dark room, you put the flashlight in your pocket and start walking around. I mean, what good is that? It doesn't even help you, right? Well, that's exactly what this verse in the Bible says. Again, back to the faith that the Choctaw Nation has as their foundation, is the faith. And when you think about light, there's the opposite of light, which is darkness. There's also good, and then there's evil, right? So there's good and evil, there's light and dark. Well, who is light? God is light. And if we are going to be representatives of God in this world, and be the very best person we can be, and make the best changes we can possibly be, then we have to let our light shine and be bright so that other people can see it. Now, think about this whole concept of the flashlight. It pushes back, it pushes back the darkness. It begins to illuminate again whatever that's around it. And Matthew 5:16 is the next verse. Look at what this says. Let your light shine before who? Let your light shine before others. Now the next part of that verse is what's really, really important. I didn't even put it on, but it's let your light shine before others so that they can see your good deeds. The good things that you're doing, the positive things that you're doing, the way you're making a change. Let your light shine. And when you do that, you actually glorify God. You bring honor to God. How you guys know something that's pretty important? You guys know something that's pretty important? We honor them, right? Whether we like them, we know if they are somebody who is high up in rankings or whatever it is, we honor them, right? Even when you go into the schoolhouse, you probably take off your hat because it's a respectful thing. Well, it's the same thing. We are bringing honor to Jesus when we let our light shine and we're able to expel or push out the darkness. You can make the right choice. You guys can make a change. You can be the change, right? Say, I can be the change. You can say it like that. Say, I can be the change. You can be the change. You guys want to see Pastor Chris as more? You want to see out this shirt? Mr. Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready. Just like Mr. Blake said, you guys can let your light shine. Mr. Blake's going to put on some gloves for me really quick because we're going to see exactly what happens when you remove yourself from the bad company that's around you and you surround yourself with people who are of good company. Because the Bible says in 1 Corinthians, which we talked about, that bad company corrupts good character, well then the opposite must be true. That if you're hanging out with good people all the time, what's going to happen to you? You're going to start doing the good habits. So Mr. Blake, once you get your fingers into those gloves, he's having a little bit of a hard time here. You guys say, you can do it, Blake. It's just, when you've got big hands like the Hulk, sometimes it's just hard to get your hands into some latex gloves. But the reason why I'm asking Blake to put on these gloves, because if he actually stuck his hand in this whole thing, his hand would turn black and that would be bad, because then you can't wash it off for a while. How many of you guys ever got like ink on your hand before or a permanent marker and you couldn't get it off for a while? Yeah, that's kind of what this stuff is. And Blake doesn't want that. Can you get it? He's trying. Tell him one more time. You can do it, Blake. He's got it, he's got it, he's got it. Okay, Blake, are you ready to let your light shine?
Yes.
Because you guys are having a theme about camping, right? Well, this is a camping lantern, and I would never go camping without a camping lantern. Because if I didn't have it, and the lights went out because the sun went down, and there's no lights around except for the moon above and the stars, and possibly the campfire, what else would be your light? A lantern, a flashlight. I almost forgot to put batteries in this, which would have been really bad, because then what would happen? It wouldn't work, right? So you guys are going to work with me and Mr. Blake to let your light shine. So Mr. Blake, go ahead and pull that out. When you recognize the bad company around you, he's going to squeeze it out a little bit to make sure he's not dripping it everywhere. When you recognize the bad company around you and you decide, okay, all right, Mr. Blake and Mr. Chris said that bad company corrupts good character, and I want to continue to do all the things that are right, but I just need to remove myself a little bit, then I'm going to be a light, so I'm going to, let's be friends, but just for a little while, instead of hanging out at your house, because we always tend to do the wrong thing, let's hang out at my house. Watch what happens when you choose to remove yourself from bad company. Go ahead and stick it in that tub of water. You guys watch this. Look what happens. Look what happens. When you remove yourself from the bad company around you, and you're hanging out with the good company, you're going to end up being good. Now, just like Mr. Blake said, and we're almost done, we're about to play our next game, but this is what I want to leave you guys with. This right here, just like Blake said, and I want you to think of this lantern, that it's time to let your light shine. When you remove yourself from those friends for a little while, you get your bearings, you know what's right, and then you say, okay, I'm not only going to make a change, but I'm going to be the change. Watch what happens when you be the change. to those friends around you. Blake, go ahead and set that in there. Let's see what happens. Just go ahead and set that in there. You guys watching? Watch what happens when you can be the change. What just happened? It destroyed all the darkness, because when you let your light shine, the darkness can't even hang around you anymore. Now, would you want to wear the shirt now? Well, obviously when it dries a little bit. But I want to remind you guys that you can make a change in your life, and you can be the change in all the lives around you. Did you guys get that? Did you guys like that? So when your parents ask you, did you have fun today? And you say, yeah, what are you going to tell them? That you're not only going to make a change, but you're going to... And you're going to let your what shine? Your light shine. And then you can tell them the whole story about the two parrots. You can tell them the whole story about the lantern. You can tell them even that Mr. Chris came with Mr. Blake and they had this really, really gross water and they had this really, really white shirt, and then the white shirt turned bad, and then the bad shirt turned white, and then the white shirt turned everything really good. Tell them all that and they'll be all like, okay, glad you had fun.